I call this meeting to order. Thank you, everyone, coming right early in the morning, and special thanks to Ms. Kwan, because I know it's very early in British Columbia. So thanks to all the members for accommodating this time. Welcome to meeting number 16 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration. To allow our services to prepare this room for the next meeting, we should adjourn this meeting not later than 10 a.m. Given the ongoing pandemic situation and in light of the recommendations from the health authorities, as well as the directive of the Board of Internal Economy on January 28, 2021, to remain healthy and safe, all those attending the meeting in person, please maintain physical distance of at least 2 meters from others, wear a non-medical mask when moving in the meeting room, and preferably wear a mask at all times, including when seated. Maintain proper hand hygiene by using the provided hand sanitizers at the room entrance and wash your hands well with soap regularly. As the chair, I will be enforcing these measures for the duration of the meeting, and I thank all the members in advance for their cooperation. Pursuant to Standing Order 1082, the committee is resuming the study of the immigration and refugee measures for the people of Hong Kong. Today's meeting is taking place in a hybrid format pursuant to House Order of January 25th, 2021. The proceedings will be made available via the House of Commons website. So you are aware the webcast will always show the person speaking rather than the entirety of the committee. I would like to take this opportunity to remind all participants to this meeting that screenshots or taking shots of your screen is not permitted. For those participating virtually, I would like to outline a few rules to follow. Members and witnesses may speak in the official language of their choice. Interpretation services are available for this meeting. You have the choice at the bottom of your screen, either French or English. With the latest Zoom version, you may speak in the language of your choice without the need to select the corresponding language channel. You will also notice that the platform's raise hand feature is now in a more easily accessed location on the main toolbar should you wish to speak or alert the chair. For members participating in person, proceed as you usually would when the whole committee is meeting in person in a committee room. Before speaking, please wait until I recognize you by name. If you are on the video conference, please click on the microphone icon to unmute yourself. Those in the room, your microphone will be controlled as normal by the proceedings and verification officer. A reminder that all comments by members and witnesses should be addressed through the chair. When you are not speaking, your microphone should be on the mute. With regard to a speaking list, the committee clerk and I will do the best we can to maintain a consolidated order of speaking for all members, whether they are participating virtually or in person. With this, I would like to welcome our witnesses representing VFS Global. I would like to welcome Mr. Chris Dix, Head of the Business Development, and Mr. Jitan Vyas, Regional Group Chief Operating Officer, APEC, CIS Europe, and Sub-Saharan Africa. Welcome. Thanks for participating today in this committee. You will have 5 minutes for your opening remarks. So who will be starting from your end? Is it Mr. Dix or Mr. Vyas?
Madam Chair, I will be.
Okay.
Chris Dix.
So, Mr. Dix, you have 5 minutes for your opening remarks. You can please start.
Madam Chair, committee members, on behalf of VFS Global, I'd like to thank you for the invitation to speak today. I'd like to thank the committee also for accommodating the time difference, allowing us to appear today from our headquarters in Dubai. Madam Chair, VFS welcomes this scrutiny. It's essential that Canadians have full confidence in the integrity and the security of their government's programs and services. At VFS Global, the security of personal information entrusted into our care is our paramount concern. We work with a range of world-leading cybersecurity providers and also very closely with our cybersecurity consultant, Conrad Prince, to ensure a very strong cybersecurity posture. Mr. Prince was formerly the deputy head of the UK government's Signals Intelligence and Cybersecurity Agency, GCHQ. He led GCHQ's intelligence and cyber operations for 7 years. After that, he was appointed the United Kingdom's Cybersecurity Ambassador. We work very closely with Mr. Prince, and we take data security very seriously at VFS Global. People around the world rely on us for visa and passport application services. And since we started in 2001, we've successfully received and transferred over 220 million applications. 64 governments trust us around the world. We operate for them in 143 countries through nearly 3,500 application centers. They trust us with the secure handling of personal information. The members of the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, virtually all European Union and NATO governments are our clients. Our global operations are certified ISO 27001-2013, the global gold standard for information and data security. Our Canadian government client is IRCC. Our client applies stringent personal information protection standards, and these are embedded in our contracts, and we follow them strictly. We conduct deep identity, credit, criminal, residency, education, and employment checks on all of our employees before we hire them. All operations-related email and telephone communications of our staff are monitored. We don't store any personal data related to visa applications. Data is purged from our systems 30 days following a case being closed, in accordance with IRCC regulations. IRCC also conducts unannounced audits to review the integrity of our systems. Madam Chair, I'd like now to address some of the specific issues that have been raised in recent weeks about our operations in China. First, I'd like to make clear that our Canadian visa centers in China operate according to the same tough security standards we employ around the world. All data service transferring China visa applications to IRCC are located in Canada. We operate no servers for IRCC in China. All access to personal information is restricted to officials who have been authorized by the Canadian government. Second, recent media reports have suggested that we have Chinese ownership. This is false. VFS Global is owned and controlled by EQT, a global investment organization and publicly listed company based in Sweden. Third, it's been alleged that sensitive data we handle is vulnerable to abuse. This too is false. Yes, we work with Chinese-owned facility management companies, but virtually all foreign companies operating in China work with locally owned, often state-owned facility management companies. For foreign companies, they're a fixture of the business landscape in China. Facility management companies provide us with office space and administrative staff, nothing more. These companies do not operate our visa centers, and they do not collect visa information. They do not set up or have access to our IT systems. They have no access to any data. All our centers in China, VFS Global uses the same security controls we rigorously apply globally. Madam Chair, with that, we are now pleased to take your and the committee's questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dix. Thanks for your opening remarks and exactly on time. Now we will go to our first round of questioning, and we will start our round of questioning with Mr. Hallan. Mr. Hallan, you can please start, and you have 6 minutes for your round of questioning.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to all the witnesses and to VFS to be here today. My first question is when did VFS Global become aware about the relationship between their subcontractor in Beijing and the Chinese Public Security Bureau?
Sure. Madam Chair, should I respond to that
Yes,
right
please.
away?
Go ahead.
Morning, sir. VFS Global has been operating in China since 2004-5. BSFSC has been a facility management company, a subcontractor to VFS Global. In China, the regulatory environment requires foreign companies such as VFS Global and some of our competitors to have local facility management companies to operate. The reason being, it's these companies that have the entry-exit licenses.
I understand that, sir. My question was quite direct. When did VFS Global become aware of the relationship, in particular with Beijing, Shuasong, and the Chinese Public Security Bureau? In particular, that one.
Beijing BSFSC, Beijing Shongshong, has been a partner to VFS since 2005. This is a named subcontractor with all our client governments, including IRCC.
And when VFS, was, thank you, sir, when was
since 2005,
and VFS the Canadian Global government was made aware of that at the time?
One person at a time. Mr. Hallan, if you can allow Mr. Vyas to please respond.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sir, to respond to your question, as far as VFS Global is concerned, the operations and the model of operating in China has been absolutely made known to IRCC and to all our client governments. Every subcontractor, i.e. a facility management company that we operate with, is notified to the respective client government. Proper due diligence processes are followed, including notification to the host government.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for that. But you didn't answer the question about when did they find out? When was this information given to Canada?
The information pertaining to our operations for IRCC,
in particular to Beijing Shuasong.
It's been open to the knowledge of IRCC right from the time we started our operations in China.
And when was that? What year was that?
This is from 2011. And even earlier, VFS has been operating with this and a number of other FMCs.
So thank you very much for that. So other countries, including New Zealand, according to that report, they said they were made aware of that. And so, and they were also saying that they were made to use a subcontractor. Was that the same case here? Was the Canadian government telling VFS that they had to use that particular contract?
Madam Chair, if I may respond?
Yes, please.
The VFS's operations in China across the number of cities and the 33 client governments that we work for are operated through facility management companies. Every single facility management company that we deploy undergoes thorough due diligence, and the respective client government approves the use of the facility management company right up front. This is a named subcontractor, including due diligence processes are followed by VFS and the respective client government.
Sir, respectfully, again, you didn't answer my question. Other countries like New Zealand have said that they were told that they had to partner with Beijing Shuasong. And so they had no other choice, is what I'm trying to say. Was that the same for VFS and Canada?
As far as VFS is concerned, in delivering a solution to a client government, VFS will put forth its operating model, i.e. a facility management company, to the respective client government. And it is the government that will approve the use of a particular FMC, facility management company. And that has been the case with New Zealand and a number of other client governments, sir.
So in other words, were you told to partner with that company?
VFS was not told to partner with the company. It is VFS's operating solution that was put forth to the client government, IRCC.
Sorry for interrupting, Mr. Vyas. Can you please bring your microphone closer to your mouth?
Sorry, Madam Chair. As far as VFS's operations are concerned, sir, every client government, VFS submits a list of facility management companies in the respective cities or provinces. Following a due diligence, these are approved by the respective client governments.
And when was that? When did this happen in this particular case?
If I may make a comment here, with your permission, Madam Chairman,
Yes,
and Mr.
please.
Hallen, we first started working for the Canadian government in China in 2008 with this FMC, and we informed the Canadian government that it was our intention to use this FMC. Now, on a more general note, I'd just like to say we do not force any
Sorry
client
for
government
interrupting,
to
Mr.
use.
Dix. The time is up. Maybe you will get an opportunity to come back. And now we will go on to Mr. Surrey. Mr. Surrey, you have 6 minutes for your round of questioning. You can please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the witnesses for your comprehensive global testimony here. Very, very useful for the committee to clarify a lot of the misinformation that has been given to the committee, especially by the opposition members. So I want to, the Library of Canada says that you're the largest visa application company in the world. You mentioned about 147 centers, countries, and can you just briefly outline how many that you run on behalf of the Canadian government, and how many do you run in China? Quickly, please.
Sure, I can certainly do that, Mr. Serre. We work across the globe for the Canadian government, and we operate 163 application centers, so in 163 cities around the world, and that's in 108 countries.
And how many in China?
Sure. If I can respond to that, sir, on behalf of Chris. In China, VFS operates for 33 client governments. Our presence in China has been since 2004-5, and across the network in China, we operate close to 380 visa application centers. Thank you, sir.
Sorry for interrupting. For the information of Mr. Dix and Vyas, if you can mute when you are not speaking, because I think you are very close, sitting very close to each other. There seems to be some echo. So if you are not speaking, please mute yourself. Thank you.
My apologies, Madam Chairman.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. And I just want to know, how long have you been operating in Canada for the Canadian government? And also, the opposition has tried to paint VFS as, neglectful, breach of security. I wanted to, and I did some research about, with the Globe and Mail, the National Post, Toronto Star, and I couldn't find one security breach that identified any individuals in Hong Kong. So I just wanted to see if you could clarify, the issue about the security breach, and that's the core of your business.
Thank you, Mr. Serre. I'll answer that question. We've worked for Canada for a number of years. We very much value the relationship with IRCC. We have not had any data security breach for Canada or any other client government in China or Hong Kong.
Thank you. Earlier, the question by the opposition was about Xinjiang Investment Corporation. And my understanding is if it was you or other companies operating in China, the law in China requires that there's, in a facilities management company. Your company, your parent company, is about $6 billion worth. And can you just clarify the Xinjiang Investment Corporation? Is it about 25,000 euros, which is about $30,000 Canadian? And how that small amount of money, the opposition is kind of saying that is influencing your decisions.
I'll take that question, Mr. Serif. Thank you. Yes, I think your numbers are more or less correct in terms of the size of the EQT Fund 7. That is the fund that contains VFS Global. Now, for legal reasons, the identity of investors in the fund cannot be identified. However, if the investment that you're referring to were to be of 25,000 euros, that would equate to approximately 0.0004% of the overall fund. So as you can imagine, it's frankly ludicrous to say that that investor would have control of the fund. In fact, no investors of that kind have any control of the fund.
So there's been no security breaches of any individuals, and you mentioned that you don't store any Canadian data, and I just wanted to, if you just maybe take a bit of time here, the remaining about 2 minutes I have left, to talk about a bit about the process. I mean, you've been a contractor with the Canadian government since 2012, and what is the process about your security and the storing of information and how secure and there hasn't been any breaches. So I just wanted you to elaborate a bit of that to ensure the Canadian population about the security and the Hong Kong people too.
Thank you, Mr. Seri, for the opportunity. We've actually worked with the Canadian government since 2008, from 2012 under a global contract, which was then retendered and won by us in 2018 in a competitive tender process. Now, as I've mentioned, we take data security and the protection of personal information as our most important job. We ensure that all data that concerns Canadian visa applicants is stored in Canada on servers operated there. That's a contractual requirement that we do that. Now, we send all data fully encrypted to Canada, and it is then only accessible by authorized personnel of the Canadian government.
Sorry for interrupting, Mr. Dix. Time is up. We will have to now move to the next member.
Thank you.
Madame Normandin will now have her 6 minutes for the round of questioning. Madame Normandin, you can please start.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you to the witnesses for their presence, and thank you for the answers that you've given us. So far, you've mentioned that from 2004-2005, VFS was partnered with Canada for offices in China. Is that correct?
Madame Normandin, since 2008, we have been a partner with Canada in China.
Est-ce que vous pouvez me confirmer depuis quand exactement? Can you confirm since when VFS has been subcontracting to BFFSC?
On to that, VFS has been operating in China since 2004-5. VFS has been operating through a number of facility management companies in China since 2004-5, and BSFSC is one of them. Thank you.
Specifically for IRCC, since when is VFS working with BFFSC?
Madam Chair, VFS working with BSFSC for IRCC since the inception, i.e. 2008, and thereafter with the global contract in 2021 to 2012. Thank you.
Merci. Ma prochaine question. De quelle façon est-ce que VFS... How did VFS end up working with BFFSC? Did VFS have a tender to find some subcontractor?
Madam Chair, the operating environment in China is as unique as a number of other countries. The 64 client governments that we work for across 140 plus countries. In China, since 2004-5, one of the prerequisites, the regulatory requisite, is for companies to have an entry-exit license. Foreign companies like VFS Global and some of our other competitors are required to work with local facility management companies. It's these companies that have the requisite entry-exit licenses. And that is where the requirement to, one, work with these companies, of course, following a thorough due diligence process and the requisite approvals from our client governments.
Confirmez-moi que j'ai...
Can you confirm whether I understood things properly? So VFS did not have any other alternatives to partner with other than BFFSC.
Madam Chair, VFS operates with a number of facility management companies across China. BSFSC happens to be just one of them. Following, one, the entry-exit license requirements, the requirements of our client governments, and finally, a thorough due diligence process, BSFSC and our other FMCs are appointed. Thank you.
Je vais spécifier ma question.
I am going to get more specific. For the Beijing office, were there other options other than BFFSC to partner with?
Madam Chair, we do have other facility management companies operating throughout China and in Beijing as well. The answer is yes. The operating environment that we follow, of course, with the approval of our client governments, we have a number of FMCs that we operate with. The reason being, one, to ensure de-risking our operations from a control perspective. Second, ensuring that we don't put all our eggs in one basket. That's again very, very important. And finally, just to reiterate once again, it's the approval of the client governments that we always take into account before appointing an FMC. Thank you.
J'aimerais savoir pour le bureau de Beijing.
I would like to know for the Beijing office, how many partnerships were analyzed?
We work with 3 different facility management companies.
Pour le bureau
Specifically for IRCC, for the IRCC office in Beijing, how many partners were analyzed?
Operations in Beijing, when we set the operations in 2008, we analyzed 2 potential facility management companies at that point in time. The priority one is, of course, due diligence processes, approvals of client governments, i.e. IRCC, and then the requirements of client governments. One, how soon is one required to set the visa application center operations? What are the volumes coming through? The entry-exit license approvals, how soon are they be able to accommodate those? These are some of the factors that are taken into account before identifying and approving an FMC, subject to client government approvals, of course.
Est-ce qu'il est possible de savoir qui était l'autre entreprise?
Can we know who the other analyzed company was?
Est-ce que je peux demander la réponse rapide?
May I ask for a quick answer, please?
We have 2 other companies.
I think we will have to, when you get the second round, like the opportunity, we will now move on to Ms. Kwan. Ms. Kwan, you have 6 minutes for your round of questioning. You may please proceed.
Thank you very much. According to the Globe and Mail article, Britain's corporate registry, Shandong Investment Corporation, is one of the most significant contributing partners to the parent company of TT Services, which runs the visa application centers for the Canadian government in 24 countries, and in China alone, there are 11 locations. TT Services is owned by VFS Global, correct?
I will answer that question if I may, Ms. Kwan.
Just a
TT
quick yes or no, please.
No. TT Services, I'm afraid I can't answer it with just a yes or no. TT Services is a subsidiary of VFS Global. It is, or a sister company. It is owned by VFS International Investments AG Zurich.
Can you table then for committee the names of the parent companies, its subsidiaries, the ownership structures, subcontractors of the visa application centers for Canada in all 24 countries?
We can provide that information to the committee.
Thank you. In a different Globe and Mail article, we have learned that the subcontractor Beijing Shishuang Foreign Service Company is delivering VAC services in China for the Canadian government. And that company is owned by the Beijing Municipal Public Service Bureau. Is that correct?
Beijing Shongshong is owned by Beijing Tongda Asset Management, who in turn are owned by the parent Beijing Sifu Enterprise Management, which is an investment arm of the organization. They have a number of private investments ranging from hospitality to transportation to retail. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are you saying that the Beijing Municipal Public Security Bureau do not have any ownership of the Shongshong Foreign Service Company?
The BSFC ownership that I just described, Madam Chair, is through Beijing Tongda Asset Management, and above that stands Beijing Sifu Enterprise Management. It is a common practice in China for private and state-owned companies to have investments in a number of organizations within the entities or the industries that I just described, Madam.
Okay, so I guess it's investments that they have within it. According to the company's own website, it states that they were established in 1993 and is a state-owned enterprise with more than 180 employees. Is that what you found in your own due diligence?
Indeed, Madam Chair, it is definitely a state-owned enterprise, and I just highlighted in my earlier response, it is an SOE, and it is also a common practice for SOEs to have investments in private organizations.
How many CCP members work in each of these companies?
Madam Chair, I would not know that offhand. As far as VFS Global employees are concerned, every employee at VFS Global undergoes thorough checks, be it employment, educational, criminal, identity, and every employee of VFS is then duly approved by the respective client government. It is only then that
sorry, I'm just going to interrupt for a second here. Can you table the information of how many of your employees are CCP members for the committee?
Definitely, we can look into this, but just to clarify, Madam Chair,
Thank you.
This is something that we will have to come back to you.
Thank you. Are you aware that if there are 3 or more CCP members in working for the company, that it triggers a series of Chinese regulations?
Madam Chair, we are aware of the regulatory as well as the labor law requirements in China. And the short answer to that is yes.
Okay, then you'll be aware that the Chinese regulations are such that it requires any state-owned company must include recognition of the Communist Party in its articles of association, and a party organ must be created in any state firm that employs more than 3 Communist Party members. Are you aware of that?
It is one of the requirements exactly as you described, Madam Chair.
Okay.
However, VFS Global's policies are very, very robust, right from the recruitment process to approval of client governments.
Thank you. So according to those regulations, it further states all major business and management decisions must be discussed by the Communist Party organ before being presented to the board of directors or management for decision. It further states that the party secretary and chairman of the board of a state firm state firm should be, quote, the same person, and the general manager position within a state company must be filled by a deputy party committee secretary. It doesn't stop there. And for those enterprises under the direct control of the central government, the board of directors must include a special deputy party secretary who takes no management role and is exclusively responsible for party building. The first role of the directors or executive who are party members is to the executive.
Sorry for interrupting, Ms. Kwan. Your time is up. We will
Sorry,
have
can I just finish my sentence? To execute the will of the party in performing their duties.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. We will have to now move on to our next member, Mr. Chiu. You have 5 minutes for your round of questioning. You may please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the witness coming to the committee here and providing us direct answers and short answers, understanding the time pressure that we're under. I want to continue with Madam Kwan's questioning here, and if you could actually provide a response to her last question using my time, that would be much appreciated.
Madam Chair, thank you, sir. As far as just to reiterate once again on the member who was on earlier to the references made as far as the Chinese law, the membership of CCCP is concerned. At VFS, we want to clarify that no facility management owners have any role whatsoever in the visa application process that we've just described between my colleague Chris Dix and myself. Also, to highlight, VFS Global has its own operational management structure within China. We have a chief operating officer with a very robust organization structure in China, comprising of 172 employees of VFS that oversee our operations and conformance to our client government contracts. Thank you.
Thank you. And just like the African Union, they were not expecting that the gift from China would have included surveillance and espionage equipment in their building, the African Union building. I would like to ask, what steps has the VFS security department implemented to safeguard data from being inadvertently obtained by third-party countries?
Mr. Chiu, I'll take that information and that question. As my colleague Jiten has mentioned, and I have mentioned also already, that no facilities management company has access to our data. All our visa application data is fully encrypted at the entry point and transferred securely and directly to servers located in jurisdictions defined by the client government. For instance, in the case of a European country, that would be in the Schengen area. In the case of Canada, it's in Canada, and then only government officials authorized to have access to that information have access to it. And I repeat, it's fully encrypted. All of our operations are certified ISO 27001 for information security management.
Thank you,
that
Mr.
certification.
Dix. Thank you, Mr. Dix. Appreciate that. Can I ask what type of computer equipment? Have you used any Chinese state firm such as Huawei's equipment in your VFS network in China?
Madam Chair, this is something that if the members permit, we should be able to come back to you.
Could you table that for the committee, please?
We can certainly do that.
Thank you.
Just one point to highlight, Madam Chair. All the IT hardware and the equipment is absolutely hardened within the visa application centers. And what we mean is there is no access to emails, there is no USB drive, no pen drive that can copy any data whatsoever. Access is driven through role-based, which is only to VFS Global personnel. And as Chris Dix, my colleague, described, the servers are hosted in Canada and encrypted. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rias. I'm sure the African Union would actually appreciate data security as well. And somehow nightly there have been download of data to China from Africa here. So please understand that we are not conspiracy theorists here. And also media reports, specifically the Global News in Canada has reported that there have been Italian leak data pertaining to Italy. There was leaked, and has that actually happened? First question. And second question is, has it been updated to the Canadian authorities such as IRCC?
I will take that question, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chu. We all know that there's a global army of aggressive hackers out there, and we're constantly making sure that our systems are up to date. On the very rare occasion, and the incident that you refer to, Mr. Chu, did happen.
Sorry for interrupting, Mr. Dix. Time is up. We will have to now move to our next member. Mr. Reagan.
Point of order, Madam Chair. He should be able to finish his answer to the question, even if the time is up, so it's on the record.
We are on a strict timeline to end at 10 a.m. So if the other member allows, then they can go ahead. But
I can be very quick, Madam Chair.
Okay, quick. Yeah.
On the very rare occasions when breaches or incidents occur, we are always entirely transparent with our client governments, and we take swift action to rectify the situation. And we did inform the Italian government, and we also informed the UK Information Commissioner's Office about the incident.
Thank you. We will now proceed to Mr. Reagan. Mr. Reagan, you have 5 minutes for your round of questioning.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thanks to the witnesses. I note that you've stated that you've been doing this, and this arrangement in China has been in place since 2008. I'd like to understand the nature of your subcontracts. How many local companies in China are involved with VFS, and are they subject to the same clauses and vetting process as you are as the prime contractor?
Madam Chair, if I can respond to sir.
Yes,
in China, we've been operating since 2004-5. We have 11 facility management companies across China. Every facility management company is required to hold the requisite entry-exit license. All facility management companies undergo VFS Global's due diligence process, and thereafter the approval of the respective client governments. Of course, client governments conduct their own degree of due diligence. As far as VFS Global, again, is concerned, every single facility management companies has flow-down provisions from our main contracts with the respective governments, which means every facility management company across any visa center conforms and is required to conform to the same exacting standards that VFS Global is responsible for. The delivery of services, customer service, and the end-to-end system remains the primary objective of VFS Global, and that's the short response to your question.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You've mentioned, of course, that in order to operate in China, it's a requirement of the business environment, a requirement of the Chinese government that you work with local Chinese-owned management facility companies. And this is an unavoidable element of working in China. As I understand it, these companies provide administrative staff. Are these staff subject to the same security checks mentioned by Mr. Dix? And also, can you tell us about the security of applications from people from Hong Kong, and why we should be confident, if we should, about those applications being secure?
Thank you, sir. Madam Chair, to respond to the first part of the question, the employees, every single employee that works at the visa application center undergoes a two-pronged due diligence check. One, from a VFS perspective, we mentioned earlier, employment, criminal, identity, education. Client governments then conduct their own due diligence on every single employee that operates within the visa application centers. Once we have the requisite approvals, only then is that employee on board operating within the visa application center. To the next part of the question on Hong Kong, in Hong Kong, VFS operates through a facility management company, which is owned by a Canadian national. We've been operating there since 2011 and for IRCC since 2013, and also work with 10 other client governments in Hong Kong.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I'd like to give the rest of my time to Mr. Dong.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Regan. I find today's discussion quite. I'm not a permanent member of this committee, but I find today's discussion is quite fascinating. Mr. Dix, you explained that the working relationship with the local FMC is a requirement of the Chinese government. Is that true?
Madam Chair, if I can respond to that, sir. The requirement, in order to operate a visa application center, companies need to obtain an entry-exit license, which is available only to Chinese local companies. Thank you.
Okay, and that's the same situation for your competitors. I don't know if you have any competitors in China, but is that the same rule applies for your competitors as well, if there is?
Quick 30-second answer.
Precisely. This rule applies to all foreign companies that run visa application centers. Thank you.
Was there any concern raised in your operation in China, your working relationship with regard to working relationship with the local facility management in terms of security breach or your privacy breach? Any concern raised at all in the past 10 years?
Madam Chair, since 2004-5, our operations there have been extremely robust. We work for 33 client governments in China, and we have not had any concerns whatsoever. In fact, we've seen...
Sorry for interrupting, Mr. Vyas. Time is up. We will have to now move on to Madame Normandian. Madame Normandian, you have 2.5 minutes for your round of questioning. You may please proceed.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je vais reprendre sur la question où on l'avait laissée. On a mentionné que 2 entreprises, dont BSFSC, avaient été analysées pour être une FMC. Quel était le nom de l'autre entreprise?
Sorry for interrupting. I think there is no interpretation. We will stop the clock. Mr. Clerk.
Okay, there's interpretation now. Sorry.
Again, Madame Normandian, please start.
Merci. Donc, je vais reprendre.
Thank you. So I will repeat my question. I'll come back to where I left with my former question. You said that VFS analyzed the applications of 2 subcontracting companies. I would like to know what is the name of the other company.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I recall this was a response pending from your earlier session. We have 2 other facility management companies that we operate in Beijing. Beijing Eastern Tianshao Business, Beijing Bellino Investment and Consulting Company, in addition to BSFSC. Thank you.
Est-ce possible de savoir pour quelle raison?
Would it be possible to know for what reason it's BSFSC that was selected?
Madam Chair, as highlighted earlier during this session, a number of operating requirements stipulate the use of a particular facility management company. Most important to note is that every facility management company is duly approved by the respective client governments. Requirements in terms of timeline or timetable to operate or open a new visa application center, volumes that we expect the centers to process, what are the readiness for peak seasons, what is the office space availability, etc. These are some of the top reasons before we identify, conduct the due diligence, and seek the approval from client governments before appointing a facility management company.
Donc, je comprends que d'autres...
So I understand that other companies have been analyzed, but is it exact to say that finally VFS had no other choice than reverting to BSFSC?
Quick 30-second answer.
Madam Chair, as I highlighted earlier to the member, we operate with 3 different facility management companies in Beijing alone across the number of client governments. The reasons articulated earlier, operational requirements, timelines to set up a visa application center, volumes processed, and most importantly, every single FMC is duly approved by the client government.
Thank you. Move on to Ms. Kwan. Ms. Kwan, you have 2.5 minutes for your round of questioning. You may please proceed.
If I may just get a clarification, when the information of the CCP members from each of the company or subsidiaries or subcontractors is being tabled, could you make sure that that is identified with the respective companies, please? And to follow up on that, if FCMs hire the people that works for this company, do those people not then have access to the data information?
To Madam Chair, to the member's second point, the facility management companies and employees undergo the same level of due diligence as all across China, including the approval of the client government that we operate for.
Yes, I understand that.
As far as the process is concerned, I highlighted earlier, all our IT equipment hardware is fully hardened. There is no access to emails, no access to USB drives. The data is fully encrypted.
I understand that. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt here because I have limited time. But the fact of the matter is, though, FCMs hire the people and they work for the company. So then for them to process the application, they have access to the data in processing the information. How could it be that they don't have access to the data? They process the information, they put it into the system.
Madam Chair, the staff process the applications within the software that is VFS owned, and
Yes.
VFS protects this through and through. And
Okay.
this data is hosted at the servers in
Thank you.
Canada.
Yes, I got it. But back to then the requirements of the Chinese regulations. If you have 3 or more Chinese for state-owned companies, 3 or more CCP members working for a company, they are required by Chinese regulations to actually have a different management structure that reports back to the Chinese Communist Party. Isn't that correct?
15 seconds.
Madam Chair, I would not be able to comment on this at this stage. There is a response due to the committee. We will ensure to bring this up as well. Thank you.
Okay, we will now move on to Mr. Hallan. Mr. Hallan, you will have 3 minutes, and same applies to Mr. Dhaliwal after Mr. Hallan, and then we will end this panel. So, Mr. Hallan, you have 3 minutes for your round of questioning. You may please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I hope that the witnesses can appreciate that as the Liberal minister has said himself, that China is a lot different now than it was before, and there are a lot more threats. And that's why there's so much scrutiny right now. And even given some of the answers that the witnesses have gave, they gave 3 different answers to one question. So they must understand how crucial it is that they answer properly here. My question is, does the embassy, U.S. embassy in Beijing and the U.S. consulate in China use VFS or visa-related administrative services?
Point of order, Madam Chair. Are we dealing with is the motion dealing with Hong Kong? Just wanted to clarify if we're focusing on Hong Kong and not a 3,000 visa facility centers across the world on a fishing exposition.
Point of order, Madam
Chair.
Chair.
Mr. Ferre, thank you.
This definitely has a lineup of questions that relate to this.
Okay, please, Mr. Hallan, start, and I'll start the clock again.
Does the U.S. embassy in Beijing and the U.S. consulates in China use VFS for visa-related administrative services? Yes or no?
The answer is yes. The U.S. mission in China have a different operating model.
Yes, can you please hold your microphone closer to your mouth?
Sorry, Madam Chair. So, in response to your question, VFS does operate for the U.S. government in China. where VFS is a subcontractor. However, there is no visa application center. It's a very separate process for Chinese nationals applying to the US. Thank you.
Okay, so that's important, because then why do they not do the same thing that VFS is doing through its subcontractor in Beijing?
I will answer that question if I may, Madam
Yes,
Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Hallan. This actually just underlines a different working method that the US government has in many other countries. It doesn't follow the same approach as most of our client governments. Very often, they will accept applications direct at the diplomatic mission rather than using visa application centers.
So my next question is that department officials were asked this question about knowing about subcontractors in 2013. And at that time, about VFS in China, if they had any subcontractors. At that time, they said no. And according to your testimony today, where you've given 3 different dates between the both of you, what's the right answer? Did they know in 2013 when they gave testimony here in this committee, or is it one of the answers that one of you gave today?
I'm sorry, Mr. Hallan.
15-second answer, please.
Are we talking about the US government here or the
Canadian government and the subcontract that you guys have with the other company?
The Canadian government have always been aware of our operating procedures in China for Canadian government operations.
Since what date?
Sorry for interrupting. Time is up, Mr. Hallan. We will have to now move to our last member for today's panel. Mr. Dhaliwal, you have 3 minutes for your round of questioning. You may please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the presenters. Mr. Vyas and Mr. Dick, you mentioned that this BFS Global and BSFC came into a relationship in 2008 when the Conservative government, and it was the Prime Minister was Mr. Harper at that time, and then you mentioned, and now it's a Liberal government. Can you tell me whether it was when it came in effect when Mr. Harper was in power, or today, who makes those decisions on the information that you collect?
I'll take that question if I may, Madam Chairman. Mr. Dhaliwal, forgive me, I am not the greatest expert as far as dates relating to Canadian Prime Ministers are concerned. But also, I think I should say on this point that it's not really for me to answer for the Canadian government on how they make their own internal approval decisions.
No, but when you take the applications, who make the decision? Is it the VSFC, BFS Global, or IRCC officers make those decisions?
I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question, Mr. Dhaliwal. It is IRCC who make these decisions. VFS Global purely performs administrative tasks. The decision-making tasks of a visa application are always the responsibility of the client government, in this case, IRCC, and those decisions are made by authorized personnel who have access to the visa application material, which is stored on those servers in Canada.
And since its inception in 2008, have you had any security or privacy issues reported to IRCC in those years of your contract? And have there been any individuals negatively impacted by the potential information leaks?
Mr. Dhaliwal, I can say for sure that we have had no cybersecurity related issues in China for IRCC since 2008. In fact, we've had no cybersecurity related issues in China for any client government since we started work there in 2004.
The information system that you use in Hong Kong or in China are similar to the ones that you use across the globe?
10 seconds.
The systems are absolutely identical. The information is sent encrypted direct to those servers in Canada.
Sorry for interrupting, Mr. Dix.
FNCs.
We will, this time is up. Thank you to both
Sorry,
the
Madam
witnesses.
Chair. Madam Chair, before you adjourn the meeting,
Yes,
I've got
fine.
my hand up on a on a point.
Yes, Ms. Kwan.
A point of order, please. I like to get clarification on when the committee could receive the information that I've requested. If I could get a date, please.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. I would request both the witnesses to provide the information which has been requested by the committee members. Is there any timeline you can provide us now, or you can provide us that information afterwards?
Madam
Yes,
Chair. Madam Chair, if it's okay, allow us to come back to the committee by the end of day today to confirm the timeline by when we can provide the details requested by the member.
Thank you, Mr. Vyas. If you can let us know, let the clerk know about the date, so that, and once the clerk has the date, it will be provided to all the members. With that, I want to thank.
Sorry, Madam Chair, just one other point of order.
Point of order, Madam
if
Chair.
I may.
We have to end this meeting right now. The witnesses will let us know about the timeline when they can provide us the information. Once I have that timeline, I will communicate to all the members.
Yes.
Yes.
I understand that, Madam Chair. Just very quickly, just want to note in terms of the study and the limitation of the study and the timeline. And so we need to receive that information before the study is over.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. Thank you, Ms. Kwan. It's not a point of order, and I will have to wait for the communication from the witnesses. Once we have the information, if it doesn't fall in the timeline, then we will communicate with the witnesses. So with that, I want to thank both the witnesses for appearing before the committee today and providing us this important information. Thank you once again on behalf of all the members, and the meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.